Hi, I'm Rob from Ironbark Aussie Pets, and today we're here to show my collection and talk a bit about our business. Ironbark Aussie Pets has only really been around for about a year and a half, and it's a family-owned business. We sort of got into the business of Ironbark just for the simple fact that keeping so many animals, I was importing a lot of product myself, and we thought, hey, the prices are quite good when we looked at our landeds and what we could do. We thought we could help the Australian reptile market by getting in basically any supplies at a lower price. A lot of hiccups along the way, obviously, getting in different products and working out what works best and what pricing and freight and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's been quite good so far, and we're really enjoying and interacting with everybody in the hobby as well. And hopefully we can just continue to expand, and we've got a lot of products in the works. And in the long run, we want to try and build as much as we can in Australia, design in Australia, and hopefully we can export that overseas and show them what we've got. So, hope you enjoy.
Okay, so what I'm really interested to find out is, how did it start?
Alright, well, Ironbark sort of started from the base of the UVME, or the metal halide ballast products that we've only really just released. My wife and I were discussing basically how much I like the product and how I'd like to sell them in the Australian market, because there's nothing here. So while working on those ballasts, we decided that, okay, well, if we're going to sell one product, why don't we sell a few other products? And we went, okay, well, let's start an online business. And instead of my my lovely wife studying, become a teacher, she's now basically become the person behind Ironbark Aussie Pets on getting stock loaded up, talking to customers, getting orders out while I still have my normal regular day job. And it's basically just expanded from there as we just keep jumping to the next rung and the next rung and the next rung, getting more product and more research, and that's really how it started. It wasn't set out just to say, all right, let's just start a business. It just sort of organically matured.
Yeah.
So,
the products are very impressive, and even the service, when we get our Ironbark packs and we've got those little notes in there, it makes a massive difference. You know, it's customer service. It's awesome.
That's all Emma's idea.
yeah, well, good on her.
I spend my time looking at all the products, working out what I want to get next, trying to work out best prices, best suppliers, and basically all that sort of technical background when it comes to the reptiles. And Emma takes care of everything else.
Oh,
so,
it's a two-person team. That's
awesome.
Yeah,
it's definitely two-person. Hopefully within the year we'll have somebody else working for us. We'd love to expand that way.
Yeah.
And overall, what we want to try and do is get a warehouse, get a larger warehouse, and actually employ people. And if people support us enough, we would love to set up an actual warehouse somewhere that's more in a rural area and try and get jobs more sort of out of the city. Give us a bit of an excuse to go out of the city a bit more as well. And yeah, that's sort of our plan. So we want to keep all the stock in Australia. And as I said before, we want to try and build stuff in Australia as well. So in a sense, the warehouse would also have a bit of a factory attached. And yeah, so it's really up to everybody else in Australia to try and support us through this. And we're quite honest of what our goals are. And yeah, that's all there is to it.
Well, you've got our support.
Thank you. Okay, so some people are probably wondering how I got into reptiles to start with. That sort of probably comes from a very young age, like I'm sure a lot of us all say, that we got into it just from an innate love of animals. I've been digging through photos a couple of months ago. I pulled out a photo of something I don't even remember when I was about 3 or 4, holding a golden tree snake from my grandparents' place, and I don't remember that at all. So obviously it's quite ingrained. My dad was always into catching reptiles, pretty much anything, so insects, reptiles, mammals, you name it. Growing up as a kid with your dad driving down the road and slamming on the brakes and wondering why, and next thing he's out the door and he's come back with a blue tongue or a bearded dragon. Unfortunately, I've carried that on quite well, much to my wife's displeasure while we're travelling 100 kilometres down the road. Next thing I'm trying to chase a tristis through the bush, and the doors are open, the car's still running. But yeah, so from that I kept quite a few animals in my early teenage years, and like probably a lot of us, you get a family, you move things on, and as your children get older, you think, oh, he seems to be into it. We'll get a bearded dragon for him, and next thing you know, within 10 years later, I've got around 80 to 90 animals, depending on what's breeding at the time. Most of them are monitors. I just seem to a love for monitors in general. I just find them extremely interesting. Although I am looking at expanding a bit more into a few of the dragons and skinks at the moment. And yes, you'll probably know it becomes a runaway obsession. So yeah, have a look around. So my plans for the future are pretty much to expand to some larger monitors. I haven't done the outside enclosures or some internal enclosures I'd like to for basically anything from Spencer's size upwards. I do have a dream of having Parenti at some point. Hopefully that'll be more closer in the near future than further, but yeah, Parenti are huge on my bucket list. I've always liked the Mertens. I still want to get around to getting a few Mertens water monitors, Spencer's obviously, but sort of comes down to, you name it, I want to grab it. But for me, the dream is probably the Glebo Palmer. So the Varanus Glebo Palmer is something I've always wanted to put my hand in and keep in captivity. I've heard they're quite shy and they're not actually the best monitors to keep in that sense. But a lot of animals have different personalities, so I'm sure there's a lot out there that you just don't see in the enclosure at all, and then you'll get the occasional one that comes out. But that's not what it's all about for me. So it's about the experimentation, see if you can get them to breed and continue on a good line with them. So if an animal doesn't want to be handled, I don't force it, and I'm just quite happy looking at an enclosure. If you don't stress them too much, most of them will just come out and sit on the rocks in the sun and let you open the enclosure and work around them, as long as they know you won't disturb them. So what are you up to? No good, I assume. Yeah? I saw you with a girl yesterday. Good job, mate. So this one's a Cape Crawford Barichi. It's actually quite larger than the Adelaide River form from what I personally keep, but we'll see how they all go. Haven't managed to breed them yet. Hopefully this will be a good year.
So tell me, Rob, what are your plans with Robin Falls up in the Northern Territory?
Okay, so we bought that just under a year ago. We bought 415 acres, and the overall plan for up there actually has a couple different things that are all intermeshed basically into the reptile hobby. One is to move all our breeding facilities up to Robin Falls. It's completely off the grid, so it's going to take a lot of groundwork to get water, solar, and working out the enclosures just right. But luckily a lot of my animals are from that region or from up north, so it'll help cut down on the power usage. From that, it's not so much just a breeding facility. I do want to try and set up a small reptile park up there, more intimate, not something large for tourists to come through, but more of a lot of one-on-one people coming through and showing what I've got. And the idea is to expand my collection so people can see the animals that you don't get to see in a lot of reptile parks or a lot of zoos. Now, as a part of that, obviously people aren't just going to travel an hour and a half out of Darwin to just come see that, or they're not just going to travel up to Darwin to see that.
It's a big place, isn't it?
Yeah, well, part of what I'd like is a lot of people do even travel from Europe or the States to Darwin to go herping.
Exactly right.
It's a beautiful place and just an absolute wealth of animals. So it should be a little bit of a stopover so people can see some of the animals that they didn't manage to see. But in expanding on that, my wife and I previously ran a restaurant for a few years down near Wollongong. And what we'd like to do up there is actually create just some eco lodges. So just some small single room apartments that people can stay overnight, that we can again take them on herping tours around our block, because part of what we want to try and do is reduce the cane toad population, remove the gamba grass, and basically try and bring it back to a more natural order, which is going to be a lot of fun. Things like the Varanus Micheli, for example, used to be on the block. Since the cane toads came through, the neighbours told me they don't see that. They rarely see Panoptes these days, and they used to be everywhere.
They're killing off a lot, aren't they?
Yeah, the cane toads
destructive.
Yeah. Apparently, the only thing that seems to be bouncing back up there at the moment is the the Mertens. Apparently they're still plenty around.
And they're
around
quite
the area.
elusive as well. I remember looking up there trying to find them, and I've been told there's certain spots where you can find them, and I've been searching, got the camera, and I'm thinking, well, where are these bloody monitors? And you just can't find them.
Yeah, they're extremely hard to find up there. All I've managed to find, I saw 3 Mertens on a little river crossing a few months ago when we visited in April. And otherwise, on my block of land before we bought it, when we were doing our inspections, I did manage to find a Primordius, and I know that Barucci have been listed as being seen across the road, literally across the road on the territory species maps. So we're quite certain we've got some good animals in the area. I know that Ollie Pythons are definitely there because they take the neighbours' chooks, and keelbacks have even been seen as far down during flooding periods. I believe we've also got a spring on the block that has freshwater crocodiles in them, so I haven't got that far down in the block because it's quite overgrown.
That'd be a good little herping tour.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I want to set up, is people can come in, they can stay at a lodge, I can bring back some of my old chefing into that and put on a good meal, and bring people down to a reptile setups, or just general herping and exploring the block, and I'd like to do a little maybe ATV tour or something on there as well. But this is all coming into the future. But this is everything that Ironbark is, and everything that our separate brand EcoRept is. All that really, at the end of the day, is going towards that. We're not starting a business to try and buy a nice car or anything like that. We're just trying to get out of Sydney and set up something beautiful up there for everybody to enjoy. So
I'll definitely book us a spot when we're up there. When you're all set up, we'll come. We'll go for herping tours, and we'll do the whole lot.
Oh, look, I plan on having it really well set up. So it's while I'm sitting down on the laptop and I'm trying to clean up an image to go online, I get sidetracked and start doing a bit of research and go, okay, or looking at recipes, or I'm looking at how to build the eco lodges, or I'm doing research on the block of land or the area, and yeah, it's something that's consistently in the works in my mind still at the moment. So it's a bit of a daydream, but you always got to have a dream. So
exactly right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of CBTV with Ironbark Aussie Pets. It was a pleasure meeting you, Rob. Thank you for the time out.
No worries. I was happy to share my collection.
It was a fantastic time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it.
There were so many cool animals. So cool.
Well, we'll see you next time, and don't forget to check out Ironbark Aussie Pets online. They've got Afterpay and ZipPay, so that just makes it even more dangerous to buy things online.
That's so dangerous.
I've purchased from them before. It's a great experience. Customer service is top notch, so definitely check them out.
Thank you. Cheers.